Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Laurel High School Commencement Ceremony. I am honored to be a part of this ceremony. But before we begin this evening, it is important that we recognize the men and women who have played an integral part in allowing us to have the freedom to participate in events like this. These are the individuals who have chosen to be a part of our military to serve and protect our country and our freedoms. At this time, I would like to recognize Robert Dix III from the graduating class who is planning to serve in the United States Navy. Please stand and be recognized. Now, anyone in the audience who has served or is currently serving in any branch of our nation's military, please stand and join this young man so you can be recognized as well. Thank you all for your service. And now would everyone please rise. Gentlemen, please remove your hats as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good evening. For many years, the Laurel School District has had a faculty address at commencement. Starting with the graduating class of 2020, student voice was given to the faculty commencement address. Our first faculty speaker under the new format was Mr. Greg Walzer. We are pleased to rotate the privilege of addressing this graduating senior class between the elementary and the secondary staff. The K-12 staff was asked to give the address a name. We are pleased to announce the faculty commencement address has been named after Mr. Todd Cole and Mr. Charlie Grant. Mr. Cole writes, I visited other school systems. Nothing matches the spirit of this group of workers, from the custodians and cafeteria workers, to the novice teacher to the experienced teacher. Our maker is in every stroke of the schedule, written in the front board of the classroom. From every letter written home, every smile, every hand on the shoulder, every paper ever graded, every song ever performed, God has been near. Peace and remember, you are a masterpiece. Mr. Grin writes, I do not think I can convey in word what feelings of joy and sadness I felt when standing at the dais on graduation evening before a full auditorium of graduating seniors, parents, and grandparents. My hope was to convey to these seniors how much we would miss them the following year, how much we enjoyed interacting with them during their school year and careers, and of course to share a few stories that would bring them to tears, laughter, or both. The following has been said about this year's requested speaker. I would like Mrs. Richards to be the speaker for my senior class graduation. I had her as my social studies teacher in 5th grade and my English teacher in 6th grade. The 2 years that I had her, she impacted my life greatly, and I wouldn't rather have anyone else do this speech for my class. She was more of a mother to me than a teacher, and I will always hold her highest in my standards of one of the best teachers I've ever had in my entire life thus far. Another student wrote, out of all the teachers from the elementary school that left a long-lasting impression on me would have to be Mrs. Richards. She moved with us from 5th grade to 6th grade. I remember one time that I was called on to answer a question for the class, and some students were confused because they thought I was mute. In a very rude way, they said something along the lines of, wait, she can speak. I didn't see a problem with it at the time, but now I can see how harmful that would have been if Mrs. Richards didn't say anything. Now, I can't quite remember what she said, but she scolded them about how it was rude to say something like that and how it could be harmful. I even remember how I enjoyed reading those few years while being in her class. That is why, out of all the elementary teachers, I would like to have Mrs. Richards to be our graduation ceremony speaker. As the superintendent of the Laurel School District, it is my honor and privilege to introduce this year's Cole Grin Faculty Commencement Address speaker, Mrs. Morgan Richards.
I wasn't expecting that introduction. First and foremost, I have to address this amazing honor that has been given to me. For those that know me, know that I am rarely speechless. However, when Mr. Ricks read those kind words that you all just heard this evening in front of our staff and announced my name, I was in fact that speechless. I would be remiss if I did not mention that I am standing here today on behalf of our entire faculty. There are many people who have played an integral part in shaping these young men and women before us, and they too deserve recognition. So, just what do I say to such a special group of students who have already met so much adversity and been through so much in their first 18 years on this earth? Young people who have overcome and are on the precipice of literally the rest of their lives, in the middle of history, who are heading out into a tumultuous world full of political and social unrest, all during the uncertainty of a worldwide pandemic. This was not an easy task to undertake. There was much I wanted to say, and as I narrowed down my list of topics, I decided to go into my part. I have found that that is where I tend to be most effective, being honest with my students, and even though you're sitting here at your graduation, you'll always be mine, and sharing what's in my heart. I believe that is part of the reason that I'm standing here before you this evening. I have always felt a tremendous responsibility to not only effectively teach reading and writing to my sixth graders, but my single most important job as an educator is to help shape good humans that go on to become productive citizens. While I address you collectively this evening, please know that my message is meant for each and every individual here. Alice Roosevelt Longworth, the daughter of American President Theodore Roosevelt, was an American writer and a prominent socialist. She was a woman filled with intensity and honesty, and she lived by a simple philosophy. Fill what's empty, empty what's full, and scratch where it itches. Such simple words with much heavy meaning. Let us analyze these phrases for a moment. First, fill what is empty. As you have all gained various life experiences, one thing is for certain. Life is a series of mountains and valleys, highs and lows, a roller coaster ride, you might concede. You have learned by now that you cannot control what happens to you. However, you have ultimate control over how you react. It is your job as individuals to fill what is empty within yourself, to constantly and consciously be evaluating your lives, your mindset, your work ethic, and your relationships. If something is not serving you, or you are not satisfied with where you are at, change it. Your happiness is your responsibility. Your value is determined by you and you alone. You must learn to speak kindly to yourself. If you find yourself constantly searching for other people, possessions, and status to make you feel happy and fulfilled, you will spend most of your precious time here on earth in vain. Yet if you choose to live your life by the simple idea of striving to make each day better than the day before, then ultimately your whole life is then well lived. In order to make your whole life beautiful, you need to first make today beautiful, right where you are. You do this by showing up for yourself. All day, every day, even when life is hard, or you are tired, or you are over it, you show up anyways. At the end of the day, one of the most important relationships you will ever have is the relationship that you have with yourself. You will set the stage for how others view you and regard you. Thus, it is important to treat yourself well. Next, empty what's full. This you may find to be the most challenging. In a world where you will feel forced to be more with less, to constantly be Instagram ready and watch the highlight reels of others play on and on, it's easy to find yourself in the comparison game, trying to keep up with the hamster wheel that can be adulthood. There are times when you will feel that you aren't enough. There will be times when you feel that the world demands more of you than you have to give, and it will. Balance is key. Your mental and emotional health matters now more than ever. Focus on the really big priorities. Lean into the hard feelings and actually allow yourself to feel them, but don't stay there. When life gets too heavy, put something down. Find appropriate coping mechanisms for when it all feels too much. Strive to listen more than you speak. Know that it is okay to say no to things. It's okay to not be perfect. It is your job to determine when to give of yourself and when to pull back in order to self-preserve. Always remember that. Life is a series of choices, but ultimately, as you go out and you treat others with respect and kindness, you must also treat yourself well. Finally, scratch what itches. This means to know yourself and, most importantly, love yourself. Become comfortable in your own skin. Realistically understand your strengths and your weaknesses. Give yourself grace when needed and kick your own butt when it's time. Look long and hard in the mirror and grow to like what you see. Know when to hold them and know when to fold them. When something is worth fighting for and when it's time to lay it down. Do not become okay with just being okay. Find your passion and go after it with all that you have. Do all of the things responsibly. Soak up every experience and take from it lessons that will move you forward, even the ugly and messy ones. Do not be afraid to start over. If plan A doesn't work, go on to plan B and then on to plan C. No one has ever promised you that life will be easy or fair, but it is your responsibility to make the absolute best of every situation you find yourself in. Find your purpose and live it. There are parts of you that you have yet to discover. The world needs you, all of you, unapologetically and unabashedly you, now more than ever before. Be fearless. Do what needs doing. Go out and change the world with your fire, drive, and by example. And while you're doing it, always remember to treat yourself well. To the class of 2021, I wish you both failure and success. For it is in the failure that you will find out what you are made of. In the success, may you rejoice in the hard work and perseverance that it took to get there. May you never forget your roots in the road home. There is a huge world out there for you to go and conquer, but there is a little corner of Spartan country that will always be rooting for you. You have right now within you everything you need to be successful. Ultimately, I wish you a long, beautiful, well-lived life. Thank you for allowing me one final lesson and for your kind attention this evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Redmond, and I'm this year's class vice president. Today, it is my privilege to introduce the salutatorian of the class of 2021, Natalie McCosby. Natalie is the daughter of Mark and Sharon McCosby. She is an extremely hard-working student and has been on the high honor roll for her entire career in high school. She participates in Student Council, National Honor Society, and has been on the varsity Spartanet dance lines for 4 years. She has also danced at Dance Center Studios for 10 years and works constantly to balance her extracurriculars and schoolwork. Natalie will be attending Slippery Rock University in the fall to continue her education. Join me in welcoming this good friend of mine and 10th grade homecoming date on the podium tonight.
Good evening to all of our guests here today, and of course to the class of 2021. My name is Natalie McCosby, and I'm so honored to have the opportunity to speak to you all today as this year's salutatorian. I would first like to thank my best friends, Andrea, Lauren, and Zach, my family, all of my other friends, and of course Mr. Kurtow, for helping me to achieve this honor and for always supporting me to the fullest extent. I would also like to thank our senior class advisors, faculty members, the school board, and Mr. Rich for working tirelessly during these strenuous times to provide a wonderful ceremony for us all. This has certainly been a year like no other, and it is utterly refreshing to have something as important as graduation regain a sense of normalcy. Throughout the past year and a half, my peers and I have taken on countless new challenges as learning was shifted online last spring, then back in person, online again, and now here we are. And what a journey it has been. But luckily for us, this past year is not the only year that defines us. We've moved up the ranks of schooling for 13 long years now, from little baby kindergartners to the big kids we so desperately wanted to be. Most of us began this journey here at Laurel, the same place where we are ending it off today. Parents, I'm sure you remember that day 13 years ago in August of 2008, our first day of kindergarten. We got on school buses for the first time and felt so independent as we made our way to school, unknowing of all the troubles and triumphs that would lie ahead of us. Back then, our biggest concern was who could get to the swing set first, or who would be Star Student of the Week and get to take home the oh-so-famous Star Bear. Then, before we knew it, kindergarten was over and we were big first graders. We went to wagon trails and I met my lifelong best friends. But then, again, in the blink of an eye, we were in second grade, taking swimming lessons at the Y and learning cursive. Then third grade came around, and fourth grade, and so on, before suddenly we had made it up to sixth grade, and boy, did we feel like the big dogs then. I'm sure we all remember feeling so grown up as the oldest kids in the building. We'd have to walk some single file lines down the hall, or have assigned seats at lunch. It was like we ruled the whole elementary school. However, as quickly as we made it to the top of the food chain, we went crashing right back down as seventh graders. Being 12 years old and going into the same building as 18-year-olds was quite a step for us all. I remember thinking that the seniors at the time looked like adults, but looking around at my peers now, I see the same kids that I met in kindergarten. We started our high school experience with the drama and craziness of junior high. We cheered on the football team as we won junior high championships and took our final PSSAs ever. We were reminded time and time again that just as things become comfortable and familiar, they are changed. Change really is the only guarantee. This became painfully evident as tragedy began to strike left and right amongst our peers. This is when I became so appreciative of the school that we have. We watched and participated as the community came together time and time again to help those in need. I became inspired by my fellow classmates who faced hardships that seemed unimaginable for someone our age to conquer, and yet they did. In these times, I realized how much of a family this school has become, and coming from a large family myself, I know exactly what that's like. 23 McCosbys have graduated from Laurel, with 10 more still in school here. So I've been very fortunate as to have a huge literal and metaphorical family living in the school district. This feeling of closeness and comfort is part of what makes the high school experience something so unique. Years from now, when we think back to our high school days, we may not remember what our schedule was senior year or who we sat next to in English class. But what will remain in our memories is the experience that we had. We will keep the good and the bad near to our hearts and allow it to stay with us for years to come. High school may not be the best and most exciting chapter of our lives. We have not yet reached the climax of our stories. Yet still, we cannot deny that the years we have spent here together is something we will never experience again. We will never forget the teachers who taught us so much more than what was in their lesson plans, or the friendships that were made between so many of us. And so I leave you with this. Today we are closing the pages of this chapter of our lives, a chapter that has lasted as long as we can remember. After today, we will no longer have the familiar hallways and classrooms of Laurel High School to fall back on. A quote from Pascal Mercier says, "We leave something of ourselves behind when we leave a place. We stay there even though we go away, and there are things in us that we can find again only by going back there." And I find this incredibly fitting. Today we are leaving. We are starting a new chapter that is so foreign and unknown. Yet we will never leave behind the experiences and memories that we have created here together. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Emily Ruggieri, and as president of this seniors class, it is my honor to introduce Laurel's 2021 Valedictorian, Miss Olivia Kaminsky. She is the daughter of Scott and Karen Kaminsky. Olivia has been active in cheerleading since third grade. A high honor roll student, Olivia is also an active member of National Honor Society and a 6-year member of Student Council, where she served as vice president her junior year. After graduation, Olivia will be attending Slippery Rock University to major in biology and will also be continuing her cheer career on Slippery Rock's co-ed cheerleading team. And now I invite Olivia to the podium where she will present her valedictorian speech. costumes and cardboard square hats to celebrate the remarkable accomplishment of graduating high school. I am honored to be able to share this special occasion with administration, faculty, honorable guests, friends, and our families. I would like to also thank you for attending and supporting the senior class. Before I begin, I would like to give a few personal thank yous. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for your continuous support, unconditional love, and never-ending encouragement and faith in me. Thank you to my teachers for putting up with my ridiculous questions in class. And thank you, Mr. Pertar, for always convincing me to take every honors and advanced placement class that I didn't want to. Without all of you, I would not be the person that I am today, and I would not be given the chance to present this honorable speech. These past 1.5 years were anything but ordinary. We spent the second quarter of our senior year behind computer screens. Some of us still in our pajamas, most of us still in bed, and many of us asleep behind our new cameras. COVID-19 took so much of our senior year from us. We did not have a typical homecoming, Friendsgiving, a junior-senior Olympics, or a senior dinner dance. But we did get shortened class periods, we got free lunches, and the ability to hide our acne behind our face masks, so no complaints here. It is not fair to compare our senior year to those of past years because obviously we didn't go to high school during the pandemic. It is fair, however, to compare our senior year to those in neighboring areas. Unlike some schools near us, we got the majority of our year in person. Unlike some schools, we got our football, basketball, baseball, softball, and track seasons. We got homecoming and prom and award ceremony and this ceremony. So we should be grateful for how fortunate we were this year, but at the same time, I don't want to invalidate our emotions just because we were all through in other schools. Many of us struggle with anxiety, depression, and loneliness during the months that we were forced to stay home. Pain is an odd thing, and that sometimes it brings people closer together. And I think that our pain has brought us closer together as a class because we can relate and understand what we all went through. But the past is behind us, and we are here tonight to celebrate the next chapter of our lives. Most of us have spent the last 13 years at Laurel, but now we're all headed in different directions. Today symbolizes endings and new beginnings. We have just completed the first big puzzle of our lives, and we are about to embark on a new one. Whether we are headed to college this fall, moving out of the house, starting a new job, or joining the military, new beginnings can be scary. The task or journey ahead may seem overwhelming, but like how many of us begin any new puzzle, we start by building the outside edges of the foundation to get us going. Likewise, we are entering our new beginnings, armed with all of the valuable knowledge we gained from high school, to prepare us for everyday things like dividing polynomials, analyzing symbols in American literature, and identifying the mitochondria, things that adults do all the time in their daily lives. As we work our way through the puzzle, many of us will approach it differently. Some people build upon the outside edge, others separate the pieces by color, and some dive right in and figure it out as they go, just like how all of us are approaching our new beginnings differently. I'm certain we will find some pieces that we thought would fit in a particular spot, but don't, and that's okay, because we will keep trying until we find that perfect piece. As we leave high school, we will continue to search for pieces that complete our life's puzzle. When half of our puzzle is finally put together, we decide to take a break. In life, there are times when nothing's happening, when new changes or pieces are being added. Life may seem to be at a standstill. But those standstill moments are important because sometimes you just gotta step back, take a break, and return with a fresh perspective and game plan. Among all of the things that we've learned this year, perhaps the most valuable lesson is that life is unpredictable, and even with a clear vision in mind, you cannot predict the future. But with unexpected bumps in the road, as long as you have an open mind and are willing to adapt to change, any problem will be solved, and you will complete your puzzle. To my fellow classmates, it has been an interesting 13 years. I wish you all the best of luck, and I will leave you with this quote. So now it is time to disassemble the parts of the jigsaw puzzle, or to piece another one together, for I find that, having come to the end of my story, my life is just beginning. Our high school story is now ending, and it's time to piece together the beginning of our new lives. Thank you.
On behalf of Mrs. Engel and myself, we would like to welcome family, friends, faculty members, fellow administrators, members of the Board of Education, and of course the Laurel High School class of 2021 to our 66th annual commencement. Guys, not yet. I was telling them earlier, up until the end, they kept us jumping. But we are very proud to present these graduates based upon their hard work inside and outside the classroom. These students before you are graduating during one of the most historic times in our country's history. These students have persevered and overcome 2 very different school years. With that said, 75% of this class are attending post-secondary education. We also have students going directly into the workforce, apprenticeship programs, as well as one gentleman entering the United States Navy. Today I would like to leave you with a message. As I walk into the stadium and watch these graduates walk in, I see our district is full of vitality and passion for our students, our school, and our community. Tonight we are pleased to hold the 2021 graduation ceremony of Laurel High School with incomparable joy and excitement. Also, we are honored to invite all the seated parents and guests to witness such a precious moment together. To the 2021 graduates, congratulations on your successful completion of high school. Now you will venture into your own unique directions. At the same time, we would like to sincerely thank every parent. Thank you for your trust and support to our school. Also, thank you to all the teachers for your teaching and care. I hope that you will give yourself praise and celebration for your role in this important moment for these students. As I stand here, I truly believe it takes a village to raise a child. For many of you students, 6 years ago, you came in with your dreams and hopes into this middle high school to start your next journey in life. Over the past few years, you've been working hard, setting goals, and reaching new milestones for a better future. You've learned how to study, how to develop good habits, and how to be a responsible person. Eventually, you managed to apply to university or trade schools, or join the service, or decide to enter the workforce. Over the last 6 years, you've laughed, you've cried, and you've uttered the words, "Do I have to go back tomorrow?" Today, I can answer one question for you. No, you don't have to come back tomorrow, but we will welcome you back anytime you come back. With that said, I'd like to leave you with a couple thoughts. Graduates, look around you. You have spent the last 6 years together experiencing life together. Cherish those moments and cherish your classmates. This is the last time you will all be together in one place. Plan for the future. Learn from the past and cherish the present. Be the person your kindergarten self thought you should be. It takes a special person to convince a kindergarten kid they were wrong. Spend your time doing the right thing. It may seem difficult at times, but you were built for this. Look inside yourself. You will find the answers you need are there. Experience more happiness than drama in your life. There is no one definition for success. Write your own definition as you write your own story. Remember to never stop learning. Every journey has a lesson in it. At some point, stop backing and look at the senior composites on the wall. The older you get, the more you will cherish those faces on it. Learn to embrace your failures. With every failure you have, there's an opportunity for growth and learning. Understand the difference between a crisis and an inconvenience. The most important thing you can give someone else is your time, and the simplest thing you can give them is a smile. Give both with no expectation of anything in return. This is a big one. At some point, you're going to find yourself saying something, and you're going to think, I sound just like my parents. They're much smarter than you give them credit for. Make sure at that moment you stop what you're doing and reach out to them and thank them for their wisdom and patience, especially their patience. Next, you really don't have to post, tag, tweet, snap, record, TikTok every aspect of your life. Put down your phone for a while, look at others in the eyes, and have a conversation from time to time. Finally, always remember where you came from. Let others know you're a graduate of Laurel High School. At this time, I would like to invite the Laurel School District Superintendent, Mr. Rich, to the podium to accept the candidates for graduation. Mr. Rich, these graduates, the class of 2021, receiving diplomas this evening have met all the graduation requirements set forth by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Laurel Board of Education. Mr. Rich, I recommend for you your acceptance this class of 2021. Thank you. As superintendent of the Laurel School District, it's my honor to accept these candidates for graduation and share a few words. The 2021 school year was consumed by policies, procedures, mitigation strategies, quarantine, and the like associated with COVID-19. And in the end, the Laurel community survived and persevered. While I was watching our latest musical, I came to realize that the performance was symbolic of the year we've had. Our musical this year was Godspell. In Old English, Godspell means a good tale. Certainly, this year has a good tale to tell. Godspell is a story about the development of faith. The storyline shows how a group of young people rely on each other, grow with each other, and become a community following the lessons of their teachers. The musical shares stories about love, joy, gratitude, tragedy, judgment, and redemption. These emotions were shared by the students, and particularly the seniors of the 2021 school year. The opportunity to do athletic events, dances, or even tractor day provided chances to show our love, demonstrate our joy, and be grateful for things that we would consider normal. This year was not without tragedy, small and large. Our students, our seniors, dealt with the lows that tragedy brings. At the end of our musical and during our whiteout, we wore white to show our faith and to demonstrate our perseverance. Now the community group in Godspell became desperate and banded together with a common purpose, facing challenges and obstacles. I'm sure no one could have imagined the challenges and obstacles that these seniors have had to face over the last 15 months as the COVID-19 pandemic changed the way they lived, went to school, and even the way they worshiped. They too had to band together. Their journey to this day of commencement has been like no other class before them, and God willing, like no other class after them. Just as the followers of the teacher in Godspell experienced redemption, so do we. As we sit here at commencement, we are experiencing our own redemptions. Our collective sacrifices and efforts over this past year have allowed us to redeem ourselves and reach the pinnacle of an experience that took 13 years to create. So to the class of 2021, what are you feeling right now? Can you feel a combination of love, joy, and anxiety? Do you feel redeemed by the fact that you are here after all you've been through? Have you hungered and thirst for righteousness only now to be satisfied? I hope you feel all those things and more. I hope you joy and enjoy the depth and the breadth of human emotions that is associated with this day. Commencement happens but once. If we take but one lesson from this good tale, let it be through faith you can persevere. You are now ready to go into the world and share your love for your fellow man and the faith you have in yourself and the faith you have in one another. Congratulations, class of 2021.
These are the procedures we will follow for calling the roll for candidates this evening. We will start with the valedictorian, class president, and followed by members of the class of 2021. Commencement is an academic ceremony backed by history, tradition, and joy and celebration, but the ceremony itself calls for dignity and respect. We are all aware that you have attended sporting events and entertainment events where cheering, horns, and whistles are appropriate and accepted. However, noise making and other disruptive behaviors are not acceptable during this Laurel High School commencement exercise. So we respectfully request your cooperation in giving this ceremony the respect it deserves and providing an opportunity for all of our graduates to be appropriately recognized. Please refrain from applause or individual graduates. After all graduates have received their diplomas, we will give the class of 2021 an overwhelming ovation. Mrs. Engel will be assisting me this evening with announcing the graduate team. Mr. James McGee, President of the Laurel School Board of Education, and Mr. Jeff Hammerschmidt, Vice President of the Board, will be presenting our graduates to their diplomas. Emily Ray Ruggieri. Olivia Renee Yee Kaminsky. Sean Michael Redmond. Natalie Ann McCosby. Ridge David Beecham. Lakota R. Becker. Brian Dale Bessel. Andrew Blank. Jet Addison Bloss. Bailey C. Boyer. Alexandria Dawn Bryan. Shane Robert Capizio. Ken David Chapman. Clifton Chavis. Rylan Collier. Meredith A. Conner. Anthony Thomas Conti. Shane Matthew Cross. Alyssa Irene Humphrey. Andrew Sean Dockery. Robert Edward Dix III. Vanessa Taylor Dix. Victoria C. Dix. Madison Marie Domer. Justin Ansley Doty. Frankie Lynn Elena Duddy. Alexandra May Elliott. Landon Josh Esposito. Justin Gage Bell. Hunter R. Vogel. Isaac Richard Lorenz Forte. Nathan L. Holton. Andrea Renee Gardocki. Hayden T. Hamilton. Andrew R. Harlan. Marcus Jordan Haswell. Samuel Jared Haswell. Hunter Alexander Harrell. Ian Herb. Robert Alexander Kerr. Jonalyn Marie Holiday. Ethan Daniel House. Justin Edward Hunt. Jeremy Jean Alurio. Olivia Ann Kaltenbach. Reed B. Kissick II. Kenneth G. Kleinsman.
Jenna Nicole Conan. Emily Michael Costa. Brianna Amberly Kreitzer. Nathaniel C. Luffy. Zachary Lee Main. Daisy Marie Main. Elena Marino. Emma Jean Macbeth. Luke Edward McCosby. Christian James McCune. Catherine June McKee. Gabriel George McKnight. Jamie Robert McVicker. Lauren Lee Mengel. Dawson Will Millsip. Mitchell Ryan Myers. Laurel Catherine Miller. Braden A. Morgan. Alexandria Marie Natson. Braden Michael Niles. Lillian May Hancher. Nora Lillian Praska. Mackenzie M. Peak. Robert S. Pisani. Madison Joyce Ponslow. Mackenzie May Prizer. Kendra Jean Rainey. Jarrett Russell Reese. Caden Wyatt McCall Richards. Allie Marie Ritchie. Nathaniel Scarberry. Sebastian Joseph Schaefer. Ross Douglas Shana. Riley Elizabeth Shear. J.C. Lee Shevitz. Alec Armand Snyder. William Wade Stewart. Eric W. Such. Alexander James Tomai.
That's my boy. Yeah. Right there, man.
Griffin Lewis Vasilani. Irie Naomi Weissel. Christopher DeMont Williams. Haley Nicole Withrow. Isaiah Michael Wikowski. Levi Nicholas Young. Tristan Robert Young. Brooke A. Zeppelin. Tristan J. Zurovich. You may now congratulate the class of 2021. Can the senior class of 2021 please rise? As president of our senior class, it is truly an honor to lead you all in the tassel ceremony. Would you please take the tassel in your left hand and move it from the right side to the left side of your cap? This signifies we are now graduates of Laurel High School and members of its illustrious alumni. At this time, we would like everyone to stand for the Laurel High School alma mater. At the conclusion of the alma mater, students will need to go to the end zone for diploma distribution. Thank you.